Lots of big breaking news is coming out today, and we're just going to cover it all right? All these things are related. This is a global plan, a global restructuring of our society as a whole, as the globe, a global restructuring of everything, all right? We know what this is. This is their reset that they talk about all the time. All the world leaders go to these events, all right? This is a planned collapse, and we are seeing it every single day. Major news is coming out, and we're just going to hit it all because it's all interconnected and it's all intertwined and it's all a plan. All right, so let's dive into these topics that we're going to cover today. All right, so South Korea, major news coming out of there. A emergency has been declared in California. Mass layoffs are happening around the nation, right? Multiple major companies are having layoffs, and gas prices are way skyrocketing, right? The new numbers are off the charts. We'll get to that in a little bit. There's a massive debt disaster in the United States, and it's about to burst, right? And Brazil, one of the biggest exporters in the world, food exporters in the world, is having massive issues. We'll clear all that up and see what's going on in Brazil as well. Lots of big news today. Lots of big things coming out just around the globe, all right? Every day it just feels like we're ticking a little bit closer to all this crazy stuff. All right, so South Korea scrambled 80 of their military aircraft, including advanced F-1 fighter jets, on Friday after tracking about 180 North Korean warplanes. So these warplanes were heading towards their border, 180 of them they clocked in. That's a lot, all right? That's enough to do a ton of damage on South Korea, to hit critical infrastructure, because even if they can take out a good amount of them, some of them are getting through. Somebody's getting through if 180 warplanes rush South Korea. And there's really not a lot of notice because they're so close to each other. It's not like they're flying over the ocean and you can see it and get prepared. It's right there, and it just happens quickly. So South Korea scrambled 80 military jets, and the U.S. keeps saying, we will defend South Korea, we will defend Japan, we will defend Taiwan. So if something happens there, the U.S. could get dragged into this. And this was North Korea's response. They said North Korea's foreign ministry called its military actions this week an appropriate response to the joint exercises, which it describes as a display of U.S. military confrontation hysteria. And it says it will respond with the toughest counteraction to any attempts by hostile forces to infringe on its sovereignty or security interests. All right, so pretty much saying, well, the U.S. is threatening us, the U.S. is doing these drills, so we're going to respond in kind, all right? So this is a big thing. I know this Russia news is going on too, a lot of stuff's going on over there, but I think this North Korea thing's a little more volatile. I think the leader is a little more loose, like might actually do it, might just do it, like isn't this calculated, maybe we'll just smash the button one day because he's like upset or something. All right, I know that could happen anywhere, but I feel like it's more likely to happen in North Korea for some reason. It just seems like a volatile situation. All right, so let's dive into this other news. A emergency has been declared in California. All right, it seems like this keeps happening in California, but it's from homelessness, because homelessness has gotten so bad in California that the state doesn't know what to do. It says the state has provided $1.5 billion in flexible emergency aid to address homelessness through the Homeless Emergency Aid Program. So $1.5 billion, and they still haven't been able to solve it. And it's saying homelessness has risen 70% in California's capital, Sacramento. All right, 70%. And I really feel bad for these people. They are living in tents on the side of the road. I saw somebody in LA, I think it was LA or San Fran, built like a whole tiny home on the side of the road. are like on the sidewalk, you know, because there's like a bunch of tents and stuff already. So he just built a little tiny home, and it looks pretty legit. All right, looks like a legit little home. I thought it was like a real little house or something. It was pretty wild, but it was like on the streets of L.A. or San Fran. One of these. I should have wrote it down, but I couldn't. I didn't think about it. I just thought about it off the top of my head. But one of these cities, and he built a little tiny home right on the sidewalk, right? This is just, I feel bad. I feel terrible because the economy's being crashed. People's businesses and jobs have been shut down the past 2 years, right? We are having all these people come across the border that are desperate, looking for someplace to go. It's compiling. We have all these homeless veterans that are desperate as well, that are struggling, that don't know what to do, that have conditions that don't allow them to get, normal jobs in society, and they just don't fit into society apparently, and there's no help for them. You know what I mean? And I'm not hating or anything. My dad was a veteran. My dad was 100% disabled veteran, right? Had disability and everything. It's sad what's happening to our country, all right? And it says they interviewed a woman. She said, sitting on the edge of a collection of about 60 tents alongside the American River, she's doing her best to comfort her friend who's at her wit's end. She says that she waits for the caseworkers to call all day long. And she said, quote, "You wait all day long for someone to come and get you, and they don't come." And she was very upset, crying about this. So it's a tragic situation that's going on. And it just seems engineered. It seems like the American people are being left out to dry, left out to rot. While there's all this corruption, we're sending all this money overseas constantly. Constantly. How many nations have we rebuilt? How many trillions of dollars have we sent overseas in the past 20, 30, 40, whatever years? You can go back 70 years, okay? How many trillions of dollars has been spent on nation building and wars and things like this? And then we have all these people on the streets that are just desperate, completely homeless. And a lot of it's not their fault. Some of these people have lived here their whole lives, and the rent price has just gone up so much that they've been priced out of their apartment. Their apartment's like $3K a month now or something. That used to be $1K, It's a big difference. That's enough to put people way over the edge. All right? And then where do you go? You don't have anywhere to go. You don't have family or anything. Like, a lot of people are desperate, and then they end up in these cycles of poverty. It's very tragic, and there's actually no real response for it that I see. All right, so let's stop sending money, and maybe let's help people instead. Figure out a way to help people. I know it's more complex than that, but it seems insane when this is going on in America. All right, so, and I forgot to mention this too. I was driving through Colorado recently, right, in a major city in Colorado, and one of the parks was completely overtaken, sadly, by homeless people, all right? And I'm not hating here, but it's just, how are we? And it was right on the side of the road in Main Street. You're driving on Main Street, and then it's supposed to be this park with an amphitheater, and it's supposed to be nice and stuff. It's not super big, but it's just, and there's 50 people there with tents and all this stuff, a bunch of activity going on. All right, and I feel bad, but it's also just, how is this America? How are we allowing this to happen in America? I saw this just last week, all right, and it's really cold here. There's 8 inches of snow on the ground right now. So people are struggling, all right? This isn't a joke for a lot of people that are homeless, okay? And I've lived in my camper for years. I know that's not the same as just being on the street or something, but I've lived in my camper. I've at least experienced some degree of homelessness And I know it's like, it's hard to get out of. It's a cycle you get stuck in. So I feel for people. There needs to be some solution for this. I don't know what it is. All right. I don't have all the answers, but I'm just saying, let's do something for this. Let's stop wasting money on this BS and help our veterans, help our people that are Americans that were born here. Let's help them. Let's get them help first. All right. So, all right, let's dive into layoffs. All right. So, mass layoffs are happening at major companies across America. And this is a big warning sign because we're going to see this all across the country, right? It's going to affect every industry. It's starting in the tech industry right now. And actually, we saw Walmart saying they're going to lay off 1,500 warehouse workers at a massive Atlanta warehouse. So it's already affecting other industries as well, but it seems to be affecting the tech industry right now. The tech industry bubble is popping. So it's saying mass layoffs from Stripe, Lyft, and Opendoor, and Amazon has announced a hiring freeze for its corporate workforce. So big things are going on here. It also says that Alphabet, Apple, Microsoft, and Uber have implemented hiring pauses or have told their employees that they need to go to implement cost cuts. So big things are happening. It says 14% of Stripe was laid off, 13% of Lyft, 18% of Opendoor, 12% of Chime, and it says 50% of Twitter, of course, was laid off today as well. Mass layoffs. Apparently, emails were sent out to lay off half the Twitter staff in a day. And they're saying big lawsuits are coming from this, all this stuff. But we see this happen when there's like acquisitions, when there's mergers. We see people get hired and fired and all this stuff. So who knows what's going to happen with this, but it's definitely a sign that these bubbles are bursting, right? We see Walmart, Aldi also advertising that they are rolling back to 2019 prices for their food at certain stores, all right? I saw this ad going around and they were saying, oh, relive like it's 2019 again. Like, why is it 2019? Wonder why it's 2019 because 2020 was when everything changed, was when they implemented this agenda to literally change our global economy, change our society. So Walmart, Aldi are even advertising this too to get people in. And it seems like like a win-loss strategy or whatever, where they are taking a loss on these certain items. And maybe they're overstocked on these items too because people just can't afford things right now. But they're taking a loss on these items to get people in to buy other goods because people aren't buying the non-essential goods that they were buying the past 2 years. And a lot of these companies have a lot of inventory. I made a video a few months ago how Walmart slashed all their purchase orders, or billions of dollars, not all of them, but billions of dollars in purchase orders from suppliers, and completely screwed them over because they've ramped up production for the past 2 years. And Walmart just kind of pulled the rug out from under them and like, oh, we don't need this anymore, and just cut them off, canceled their purchase order when they were already in the process of ramping up production for them. So they were kind of left with the bag. And now Walmart's kind of left with the bag too, probably. They probably have a lot of inventory that they've been stocking up on because we were kind of in a bubble, and now the bubble has burst and we're in a recession, and they are doing whatever it takes to get people in the door to buy more goods. All right. So I guess that's kind of a good thing for preppers. All right. So if you want to stock up on stuff, it's like Thanksgiving items you can stock up on. All right. So, and it's going to be 2019 prices apparently, which is actually a big difference. If the prices are real, a lot of things have doubled, tripled, quadrupled, 10x'd in price, a lot of food items over the past few years. So that's actually a big difference if that's true. All right, that's what they're saying though. So check out your local Aldi, check out your local Walmart. There could be whatever big price savings there apparently. That's what they're saying, all right? I'm still skeptical. That's why I'm just like, hopefully it's 2019 prices. I'm just worried because, like, what even was 2019 prices? Who knows, all right? So, but stock up, right? It's still going to be cheaper than what it is now, and we could see prices start to go down in the short term. But once these grain harvests start hitting, once everything gets canned, once all the production is finished, we could see another spike or at least shortages. While prices are maybe a little bit lower, we still could just see shortages because people just can't afford to pay more, right? They just can't afford it. So let's dive into these other numbers. Gas prices, all right? Gas prices are exploding, especially diesel. It says crude is around $100 a barrel and diesel is over 200 a barrel, right? So that it says the average gas price would be around 584 if crude was 200 a barrel. That's if crude. I couldn't find exact numbers if diesel was 200 a barrel, but it's probably similar if not more, and that's going to jack up the price of everything as well. And this comes as the diesel reserves are almost out. They're running out at a very peculiar time. They're running out right when, right after all this stuff ends in November. It's like running out at the same time. It's like, it seems like it was like timed or something to run out at this time. So right after everything in November, gas prices are going to skyrocket because the reserves are going to be empty. All right, so let's look at prices already right now. A month ago, gas prices are staying steady on average. They were 380 a month ago and they're currently 379, but look for them to go up because of this oil price increase. And it says diesel a month ago was 486 and now it is 531, right? So that's a big increase for just 1 month. And like I was saying, it's already at 200 a barrel now, and crude would be 584 at 200 a barrel. So look for diesel to go up 50 more cents bare minimum in the next week or two, which is going to affect the price of everything. Probably 50 cents to 75 cents or even more, because diesel will probably be a little more expensive. But at least 50 cents. Look for that to go up in the next week or two. And that's going to affect the price of everything. Once again, everything's shipped with diesel, everything's moved with diesel, all the crops need diesel, everything needs diesel. The economy loves diesel, needs diesel. You can't just take it away, you can't just shut it down, you can't live without it. It's one of these things. It's like the water, it's the food for the economy. We have to have it. We have to have it. Okay? There's just no other option. There's no better option than diesel right now, right? Of course, things like nuclear, all these other things are possible for energy, but for moving transportation, moving freight, moving goods, diesel is it, right? So price of that goes up, then everything else is going to go up, and it already went up 50 cents this month, and look for it to go up at least another 50 cents in the next couple weeks. So let's tackle this one. It says a massive debt disaster is about to hit the United States, right? So it says the average American owes more than $25,000 in debt. And it says nearly half couldn't cover a $1,000 emergency, half of Americans. This is very serious. This is a very concerning situation that the American people are in. I mean, globally, everyone is in this situation, but especially the American people, we're being destroyed right now. People are taking out more credit cards to cover their expenses. I know people personally that are struggling, and it's getting tough, guys. People don't know what to do. People don't know how to pay their rent, right? It's getting to the point where people are getting pushed to the edge, and something has to change. Like there has to be a change in the market, change in prices. Something has to give, because who can afford to live in this kind of environment? All right, so it says the average person owes more than $25,000 and over half couldn't cover $1,000 emergency. It says 1 in 5 admit withdrawing money from their 401k or IRA. That's what I'm saying. People are taking out credit cards. People are doing all sorts of things to get by right now. And these credit cards are theft. They are thieves able to charge 33% interest, 35% interest, 40% interest on some of them. This is thievery, this high of interest rates. Imagine if other things had this high of interest rates, the entire economy would collapse. Imagine if like businesses had this, or banks had it, or lenders, or anyone else. But you, who's not a billionaire, or not a massive company, or not a bank or a lender or something, someone who's got lots of money, you have to pay 33% interest or whatever to get a credit card, and just to get a little loan, to get a few $1,000 loan to get by, right? But you have to pay this insane interest rate, but the banks, they get to pay whatever, 4% or whatever it is. You know what I mean? It's just, it's almost thievery at this point. And I know you sign up for it too. I know you consent to the credit card, but we didn't consent to have our economy crashed. You know what I mean? We didn't consent for these people, these globalists, to take over and just wreck everything, right? And this is what they're doing. They've used the last 2 years to print up all the money, and then they bought up all the real assets. They bought up all the homes, all the businesses, all the networks, all the sales. Like they crushed all the small businesses and took all their profits, essentially absorbed all their business, all these mega corporations over the past 2 years, printing money. And then all their money printing, all their spree, their splurge, their shutting down of everything has caused a massive economic collapse. And we're paying for it now, right? And we have to suffer from it. Average person has to suffer. Average person has to take money out of their 401k or their IRA or whatever. Like, that's supposed to be for retirement. That's not supposed to be for you're just trying to pay your bills. Like, this is just crazy. And I saw this tweet. I thought it was kind of funny. Because people were kind of roasting it. Honestly, I'm gonna just talk about it because it was pretty funny. So the White House tweeted out they were bragging about getting rid of hidden fees, and they were talking about they were bragging about getting rid of hidden fees when buying things like concert tickets and stuff. They were like, "Don't worry, like we got this covered. We're gonna tackle these hidden fees, like this $10 fees when you're buying your concert ticket." It was very just like out of touch tweet, and they were really serious about it and bragging about it. Like, we are saving you all this money on your concert tickets. Very strange, all right? And people lit it up. People were roasting. I saw this meme that was saying, like, I can't even afford to pay my mortgage or for food. Like, what am I supposed to do? And the response was like, "Hey, saved you $10 on Pearl Jam, 10 big ones on Pearl Jam tickets, buddy. All right, 10 big ones. All right." So it's just kind of out of touch. It's like, yeah, thanks for saving us $10 on some concert tickets, but people are starving. The economy's collapsing. Gas prices are skyrocketing. Diesel prices are out of control. I mean, it's just kind of like it's just kind of strange. Like, what planet do some of these people live on? They're worried about very strange things that the average person seems like they're not even. It's not even on my radar. And I'm not bashing if you go to concerts. I've been to concerts before, but not in a long time. But I'm just saying, it's kind of like this is not the top priority for people right now, is to go spend whatever $100 at a concert ticket and save $10 on whatever site they're on to save a fee. very strange that that's what they're worried about and that's what they're tweeting about and proud about. And it was kind of funny, the memes that were in response to it. So, and I love concerts. All right, I've been to plenty of concerts. I was wearing an AC/DC shirt yesterday. I got that at an AC/DC concert, and at Tampa, down at the Ice Palace. I don't think it's called the Ice Palace anymore, but that's what it was called when I went. And it was a great show, right? It's a great show. I like concerts. Concerts are cool, but I haven't been to one in a long time, and it's not the top focus right now with all this other crazy stuff going on, right? And it was a cool concert. Angus was like on the ground, like spinning around while he's playing, like running around like on the ground. It was crazy, man. It was crazy. It's cool. It was a cool concert, right? It's a cool concert. I got that shirt there. That's how it reminded me of that. But that was like 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Um, not a focus right now when the economy's collapsing and we're in a global disorder, essentially. All right. So let's get to this Brazil thing too, right? So massive protests have been happening in Brazil. Truckers have been shutting down the roads, shutting down the ports, and this is a major threat to the global food supply and the global supply chain, right? It seems like they are trying to clear the truckers out. They are working on it, but they've been blocking major ports for days ever since the election results have been reported. People have been, massive protests, massive riots, massive just disruption in movement, all right? And they were blocking the ports, and some of these numbers for Brazil, I was kind of shocked on. I didn't even know these numbers. I didn't know Brazil was this high tier of a, agriculture superpower, all right? Because they are up there. They're one of the largest producers of agriculture goods in the world, and having these ports blocked, even for a week, could cause food prices to, it's going to cause all this food to spoil, all right, that was going to get exported. It's going to just cause major disruptions and shipping containers, shipping ports, all this stuff. It's going to mess stuff up for weeks on end, even if this only is shut down for a week. So hopefully they clear it out. It looks like they're working on clearing it out. So let's dive into these numbers though about Brazil, because I was shocked about how big of a producer Brazil actually is. So Brazil is the second largest grain exporter in the world and accounts for 19% of the international grain market. 19%. 1 in 5%. 1 in 5 total, all right? Brazil accounts for. That's massive. That's massive, all right? It says in the last 20 years, exports reached more than 1.1 billion tons, which represented 12.6% of worldwide exports. Huge, huge producer of soybean, corn, and cotton, all right? And it says Brazil also had the largest bovine herd in the world in 2020, the largest in the world. That's crazy, representing 14.3% of the global herd. So just having all this disrupted right now is a big, big problem, right? It says they have 217 million head of bovine. Huge, huge. And it says that they also account for 9.2% or 29 million tons of the global livestock market, and they are the third in line behind the US and China. So they're the third biggest livestock producer in the world as well, and that's about 9.2% of the global livestock. But it gets even worse because they account for 13.4% of the world's total meat exports, though. All right, so they produce 9.2% of the world's meat, but they export 13.4% of the world's entire meat. All right, this is huge, and they have the biggest bovine herd in the world. So the fact that Brazil's ports are shut down right now, blocked right now, is a huge red flag and is going to cause major problems for the global food markets, right? Bare minimum, it's going to spike prices, and at the worst, it's going to cause shortages and skyrocket prices on things like meat and grain, right? Second largest grain exporter and accounts for 13% of the global meat market, right? This is huge to have this shutdown. And this could happen anywhere in the world, honestly, because the world's so volatile. People are so on edge. People are just so sick of all this madness. People see it all that, yeah, something like this happens and people pop off, right? There's a lot of protest strikes, and then they want to get it out, but then it also just makes things worse at the same time, right? It's one of these, like, you just can't win. You can't win with one of these things. Double-edged sword. It's, you want to show you're upset and this is messed up. This system is, destroying us. But then you also just kind of play into it by just blocking the ports, and the meat doesn't get out, and then food shortages, everything, prices just get even worse. It's just like, you can't win. You can't win. You're kind of stuck in this situation. So I get why people in Brazil are upset, right? But it's also just one of these things where this could just make everything worse in the long run, honestly. Hopefully not, but it really could. So that's all the news we wanted to cover today, guys. Thank you so much for watching me ramble. All right. I'm super blessed to have you guys as an audience, have you guys listen to me. Please stay prepared. This stuff is boiling over quick. All right. I'm going to keep bringing you guys the news. So please hit it up down there. If you guys like the news every single day, I got you on that. All right. So thank you guys so much. You have a big old blessed day.